Welcome to the show. My name is JR, and this is Daddy Discussions with the Three J's. This is the post-Thanksgiving holiday episode, and as always, I can't do this without my two brothers from another mothers, Jeff and Josh. Guys, what's up? How you doing?
How's it going?
Josh, how are you?
Doing good.
Jeff, how is the family?
They're good. They're good.
Awesome. Everybody have a good turkey day?
Yeah. I ate way too much food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to happen, right? Tryptophan kicks in and sleep through the second football game of the season. Usually what happens. What about you guys?
Man, running around trying to see all the family. It's always a blur, but now we're in the Christmas home stretch. So
how's the decorations going? You guys all decorated?
might need a lighting guy to come by the house and help me out.
I might know a guy. Jeff, how's yours? Now you started a little early now. Did you get it all done?
Well, we got our tree up before Thanksgiving, but we just put up our decorations this past weekend as far as like inside goes. So my lights that have been up all year need some fixing, but
Jeff, Josh, how's your exterior lights going?
So I think I put 50 strands outside and keep blowing fuses.
You got 50 strands plugged in. That'll blow a fuse.
Yeah.
I've tried different extension cords, different outlets. Nothing's working. So
a little dim on the edges there when you put 50 of them together,
Yeah, a little bit.
Jeff, you got any outdoor lighting going on?
Yeah, we got a couple of strands put up just on the front and around our railing on our porch, but nothing too crazy.
Okay. Well, we got all the interior basically done and started on the outside. And this year, I typically always try to add another layer, if you will. I got on one of those import websites. I won't say the country of origin. You could probably figure out who that is, but and got some of those wedge lights, that you see on TV where they roll them out and it looks like you're wedging up your whole yard. Got some of those. I'll throw them on some trees and see how that looks. I haven't done it yet, but it's interesting to see how it all comes out. Turning into Griswold real fast.
Trying to one up yourself from last year, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, just the three of us, right? No one else is listening. But just kidding. I know we got a lot of listeners out there. I got some new neighbors, and I want to see how bright I can get it, how mad I can make them. That's what I'm really trying to do. Being honest, that's what I'm really trying to do. Anyway, just don't tell my neighbors. So anyway,
Jim Carrey's The Grinch. You know how they have Cindy Lou Who's mom is always like competing with the neighbor, trying to put up a whole bunch more lights, and she's like stealing traffic lights. And all
yeah. Oh yeah. I tried to get my kids to watch the Great Light Fight last night, thinking that they would help them with the holiday cheer. No, my kids were like, "Can you change it over to Paw Patrol now?" I'm like, "Oh, God, come on." Anyway, well, everyone listening, welcome to today's episode. This is what we're going to call the Ask the Dads episode. If this is your first time listening or watching us, we're glad you're here, number one, but also go into the archives and check out the first 3 episodes wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch any of the previous episodes on the old famous YouTube. Guys, we are famous. Like we're all over this podcast place now. Can you believe this?
That's pretty awesome.
I quit my job yesterday.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's gonna work out. It's gonna go big. It's gonna go big. Well, again, this is our Ask the Dads episode, and I think it's always good to start in the Bible, right? And it's a great way to start. You guys okay with that? Just throw a couple Bible verses out there to get us going.
Do it.
Cool. Well, the Bible has many spots talking about seeking and asking questions. With this being the Ask the Dads episode, I thought I'd bring up a couple Bible verses that talk about that. First one is Matthew 7:7, and it says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you." Over in Matthew 21:22, it says, "And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive, if you have faith." And then James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all who without reproach, it will be given to him. I think we remember that seeking the advice and knowledge of like-minded people who are going through and have gone through things can always help. It's the basis of how masterminds work. Guys, what do you think about masterminds? I know we've done a couple in our small group. How you like the mastermind mentality?
I think they're pretty awesome. I really enjoy them whenever we do them.
Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not something you can prep for. It's a real in the moment discussion with, friends and people kind of going through the same situation you are. So yeah, I really enjoy them.
Yeah, I think it also gives you a platform, right? So it's always good whenever someone is seeking wisdom to just be able to, get a little vulnerable and just ask someone who's been there, right? And that's kind of what we hope that today's episode is doing. But before we go into it, let's preface this whole Ask the Dads episode by saying that these questions that we're going over today got them from a lot of different places, and a lot of different people brought these to us. We're no experts. We're just doing the best we can and make sure our kids know that we love them. And that's what this really comes down to. We're going to kind of tell all the listeners out there how we did it, if that makes sense. And any and all these questions had come from listeners. It come from our wives, our friends. And then some questions we pulled from future episodes that we thought were fit here. Guys, we can't answer them at all without hitting the ones that we think are best, because there's so many of them. It's going to be difficult to hit all of them, but we're going to try to do the best we can. So I'll throw the first question out there to you. Either one of you want to jump in? Here it is. What's the happiest day of your lives so far being a dad?
Jeff, you got older kids, so I kind of want to hear yours first.
Oh man, I was gonna say Josh go first so I could think of it.
Beat you to it.
Oh man. Happiest day of my life so far and with my kids? Was that?
Yeah, I mean, just being a dad.
Okay.
Or you can even maybe change the verbiage a little bit and say, what's your proudest day? I mean, it's technically there's two different questions, but you can kind of blend the two if you want to.
Man, that's tough. I've had a lot of good experiences and times with the kiddos and family. I think one of the big things, the first thing that comes to mind is just my oldest daughter, Raylan. She plays softball.
Awesome.
And
What position?
She kind of all over at the age she's at. She likes to pitch and she wants to pitch, but she's also played the outfield. She's also played the infield. They kind of
see it now. Next time I see her, I'm gonna call her Slash.
I think honestly, one of my proud moments with her, at least, wasn't even like in a game. It was in one of her pitching. It was like her very first pitching lesson. And it was like her coach, who's a friend of ours, goes to our church. It was like her second pitch after he like told her what to do. And, he had another ball on a tee at like the height of a strike zone. I think it wasn't full length away, but it was like, I think full length is like 30 feet and it was like maybe 20 feet. So it wasn't quite full length, but it was only like her second pitch ever. And she, threw her pitch and knocked the ball off the tee. So, it was pretty cool. And then to see her get excited about it and proud of herself, it was pretty cool.
Josh, what's your
Yeah, I mean, my
happiest surprise day?
They haven't really had that sports moment. My kids play soccer, but they pretty much just run up and down the field. They don't really know what they're doing yet. They haven't caught our first fish or, killed our first deer or anything like that. I think my firstborn's going to have to take the win on this one. I think the day Adeline was born, just holding that first kid, I can still remember being in the hospital. I think that was probably my proudest moment as a dad so far, just being a dad for the first time.
Nice. I will tell you that likewise to you guys, I've got quite a few happy and proud days too. I mean, my kids are even younger than both of yours, technically, and pretty close to yours, Josh. But I mean, overall, they're younger. And yeah, I always jokingly tell people that, you know, when I realized my house was mine was the first time I mowed the yard. And so similarly, when I had my first two kids, when the first one was born, my second one was born, and I had to change their diaper for the first time. I'm like, yeah, this is mine. Oh, this is mine. Oh, you know, it's one of those things like, oh, it is mine. It is really mine. This is me. But no, it's funny. Like, you know, you think of things like small little details like that just brings you so much joy. And then also, obviously, you know, we all go to the same church, and Sunday mornings, I usually get there pretty early to help set up and stuff. And my wife brings the girls hour or so later, hour and a half so later, whenever they come in, you know, by the time I've got everything set up to start leading on the usher side of the business, and they'll run up and they just run up and just doesn't matter who's in front of them, they run around them and just say my name and run straight to me and like hug my leg. That just, man, it's nothing like that. It's pretty amazing. All right, well, let's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say mine do that when I get home from work. They open up the garage door, come running out of the garage and meet me at my door of my car.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Well, let's flip the script a little bit on it. And the next question is going to be, what's the hardest thing you've gone through being a dad?
Josh, you can take this one first because I went first on the last one.
Man. I mean, I feel like we have difficult days as parents, but thinking back to like maybe the time I was the most scared as a dad, our second child, Eli, when he was born, he had some breathing issues, and he actually went up to the NICU floor. And I remember thinking, man, I feel pretty, you know, just useless right now. Like, there's nothing I can do. This is in the doctor's hands, it's in God's hands. Luckily, by the time I made it up to the NICU floor, he had been discharged, and the doctors kind of just joked around about it and said he just wanted to see the NICU floor. So, but I remember being really scared as a dad.
Can't imagine. Wow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Jeff, what about you, buddy?
For me, I think it would have to be my oldest is starting to, I guess, get curious about things, but not like in a bad way. Like, and you know, she's learning her emotions and just trying to figure herself out. And you know, we have a fish tank, and each girl has like a fish in the tank. And they've all grown attached to all of them. And we had one pass away or die I think it was like about a month ago. And Raylan was like completely heartbroken. So like just trying to explain like, this is life and this is how it happens, and you know, and trying to calm her down and help her understand at the same time while she's trying to process, like, she doesn't understand why her fish died, you know. So it was just, it's hard to kind of put that stuff into words that an 8-year-old can understand, you know. Yeah. So that was tough for sure.
Yeah, that's tough too. I know what mine is, and this is one that I don't know if I'll ever forget the rest of my life. After my first was born, she had turned 2, and we got the again, I wasn't supposed to have children, so to have one was a blessing. We didn't think was going to have any more, and we found out we were pregnant with the second one. And about 11, almost 12 weeks in, Ashley was like, "There's something wrong. We need to go do a heartbeat check." And went in, and they told us that, I never will forget, it was September 12th. And my wife's birthday is September 17th. And she was supposed to turn 30 on September 17th. And that was when we had scheduled to go see the doctor. We ended up going in, I think, on the 14th, 2 days later, and found out that we had lost it and no heartbeat. The problem is she still hadn't passed it yet, or how to, release the baby, or at least yeah. Well, ended up on her 30th birthday, which was September 17th. I had this big plan. Dave and Buster's, the big place here in Nashville. It's all over the country, but here in Nashville, we had set up to have. I'd rented a room there. We had a bunch of family and friends coming in. And I mean, it was like 30, 40 people in this room. And that was in the afternoon. At midnight on her birthday, we were in the emergency room because she was passing the baby on her 30th birthday. And, obviously that day was tough because she had to go through all of that. And then, I had this whole big plan. I literally had made a big, like, this is your life video, if you will, for her 30th birthday. Had all her friends and family saying happy birthday to her. 14 minutes long. I did the whole thing up. Like, I went super big time, like with the Star Wars opening scroll theme for it. I mean, I went over the top. I ended up having to show this to her in the emergency room at 12:30 on her 30th birthday, after she had just passed this. And that was before we had, I mean, I couldn't cancel the Dave and Buster's thing because I'd already paid for it. So, we ended up going through that, getting about 2 or 3 hours of sleep, of any sleep that we got, just being crushed all day long because we had lost this, miracle that we weren't even supposed to have in the first place. Get to Dave and Buster's, and we tried to put on the face as much as we could, especially her. And it was just, I mean, we got through it, but it was, nobody knew. I mean, nobody knew that we had just gone through this like 12 hours before, and obviously they found out after the fact. The blessing was about 3 months later, we found out we were pregnant with Rayma, which is my youngest. And now we have a beautiful second little girl. But that was by far the hardest, having to deal with that from a personal level. And still to this day, it's tough. But also seeing my wife go through it on her 30th birthday, that I, like I said, gone over and above trying to make it special for her. And it just blew up in my face. So that's my hardest by far. Well,
was there anything positive? I mean, not to interrupt you, but was there anything positive that came from that day? I mean, it sounds like a 30th birthday to remember, but
yeah, I mean, we still struggle with celebrating her birthday. Like, even since then, like, she doesn't really want to celebrate her birthday. It's been 2 years later, or 3 years later now. But I guess the positive is we were able to have Raymond come a couple months later. And the other positive is we had a lot of family and friends show up, even though they didn't know what was going on. They showed up to love on her. And I guess, there's some personal family things that some people showed up that and really loved on us, but I didn't think would, if you will. Probably another conversation for a future episode, but still, it was definitely a tough day, and God worked through it. I mean, because it was definitely tough, and God was there the whole time helping us through it. So, sorry to down the conversation there, but that was it's a tough question. So, yeah. So let's jump into the next question. Let's flip the script a little bit. Again, this one, okay. I don't know how to. This one's gonna be. You got to follow the wording because it's a little bit tough to ask. Okay, what did you have as a child that your kids don't have today? And I guess it's the question for this one that came in from a friend of mine. I think whenever he asked the question, he was kind of meaning it from like a generational family dynamic, if you will, but it could go anywhere. Like, it could be anything. Like, it could be, Christmas, how Christmas is done, or anything. It could be whatever that is. But think of something that you have or had as a child that your kids don't have today. Either one of you want to go first? Jeff?
The first thing that comes to mind is, and I had a great neighborhood to grow up in. So like all the kids in the neighborhood played together every day. Like we were out on the streets we had a park in our like at the back corner of our man, words are hard today. Where all the houses were at.
Subdivision.
There it is. I was like suburbia. I couldn't think of the word.
Colony.
Yeah. Colony. That's a good one too.
Compound, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So like, the subdivision we were all in, like all the kids played together, every day, every weekend, and we just live in a neighborhood where there's not a lot of kids. So like my kids don't have that growing up, like going out and playing in the neighborhood, playing in the street, making friends with your neighbors, going over to your neighbor's house, like they just don't have that neighborhood community. I mean, we have our church community and school community and all that stuff, but like they just don't have friends to go play with when they're done with their schoolwork or, bored on a weekend, which is, I mean, that kind of sucks for them a little bit because, they get a little cabin fever being in the house for so long some days. But that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Josh?
That's kind of what I thought of too, was just having friends next door or down the street, maybe a little bit of freedom to ride my bicycle across town. Also, I remember having family really close by, and we live 3 hours away from the majority of our family. So, my kids don't spend the weekend at grandma's house or, Aunt Peggy's house. Or I remember spending a lot of time with family as a kid. And my kids don't have that. So
that's definitely when I first read the question. I grew up in my grandmother's house. Like, my parents are working all the time. Like they just I was always over their house, And then I think that's the one thing for me. And I think the other one for me is, when I started getting into that middle school, high school age, which my kids aren't there yet, but it's still, it's the answers to the question, because my kids won't have this, is like where we all live in Middle Tennessee here. Over in Hickory Hollow area, there was a mall called Hickory Hollow, and it had a center open area, and all the stores kind of wrapped the outer edge. I spent hours there, and now granted I was middle school, high school area, so it's different from age perspective, but still my kids aren't going to have that, because malls today, I mean, everybody orders offline. You got it in, a day, or any malls that are left are all like outdoor malls, they're not like, you're not going to a building and all the stores are wrapping around you. So that's definitely going to be something different than my kids would have, or that I had that my kids don't have. Next question. This one comes from one of the fans. Wait, hang on. Guys, you believe we actually have fans? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. His name is Rich W, and he asked the question, what hobbies do you have that you share with your kids? He says that his is his love for his monster trucks and his die-cast vehicles with his two boys. What about you guys? Any hobbies or anything like that you love sharing with your kids?
I'll let Josh go first on this one.
Josh?
Oh man, I think with the boys, it's kind of different because Adeline obviously likes different things than the boys do, but the boys just like being outside, man. We've got a creek behind our house. We get home from school, and most days can we go check out the creek? They want to, throw sticks in the creek or look for turtles or, just kind of anything outside with the boys. They just, throwing rocks, picking up sticks, whatever. Adeline's kind of, I think she's gotten really excited about learning. She started kindergarten this year, so she's kind of starting to read and write. So
Awesome.
She loves to read books, and she'll pick the same 5 or 6 books over and over because I think she's starting to pick up on the stories, and she can kind of read along with me. So yeah, she reading books with Adeline and throwing rocks with the boys. That's kind of our hobbies.
Jeff, what about you, buddy?
There's a lot of things that they have in common with their mom. Now, being the father of all girls, it's a little tough.
Is that a little lipstick on your face there? No.
Raylin, like I said, Raylin does sports. They softball, volleyball, but
Awesome.
she kind of got into softball because she watched me play. I played in an adult men's league, and I brought her to a game one night, and then that got her.
Which I'm mad I didn't get an invite to that. I just want to throw that out there. Come on now.
I had to officially retire this year after hurting myself.
Okay.
Getting too old, I can't play no more. When you start tearing muscles, just moving around, it's time to
Gets
slow
expensive.
down. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I understand.
And then now some people might not like this, but I'm a big video gamer. Like I always have been my adult life, and my kids like to play video games with me. And
Awesome.
So we have a Nintendo, so we got like the Nintendo Sports where you can do your bowling and tennis, and then they like Mario Kart. So we always they like to play video games with dad, and always try to beat dad in the video game. So I mean that's a fun thing that we have in common that we like to do. So
Awesome. I think for me it's similar to you guys, right? I got 2 girls as well, and I'm probably the biggest nerd in the group of us 3 here. I would have to say, and I'm pretty on up there, guys. I have I'm pretty far up there, up the nerd ladder, and I've gotten my kids into, especially my oldest, into Spider-Man. There's a on Nick Jr. or one of those channels. There's a Spider-Man Friends TV show.
we watched that before bedtime tonight.
Yeah, and then since the Spider-Man comics are a little bit too adult driven, I was like, what? How can I get my kids into Spider-Man? That's my jam, right? And oh, hey, look, there's one on TV. So we started watching it, and that's one for sure. Like you, Josh, definitely like to read, and we all like to color and do things like this. And I'm trying to get my kids into golf, but it's a tough one. I think it's just an age thing, and I've tried really, really hard to get them into football, watching football. I'll get them to say, hey, touchdown. And then they're like, okay, can you change it to Paw Patrol? Goodness gracious. Okay. So working on that. But yeah, that's me too. What is one thing that you try to teach your kids not to do that you did, and what can they learn from it? I think this could be an episode all of itself.
Oh man.
Yeah,
A future episode, but Jeff, you go first this time on this one.
I try to teach my kids to not be quick to anger and frustration. I dealt with that for a while. Just with my past career choices, I've seen a lot of trauma and dealt with a lot of trauma. Some side effects of that are anger issues. And, so they unfortunately learned some bad things from me. So we're trying to unwork that. And, we're working through, if you get angry, don't react so quickly, think through. And as if you react out of anger, then you're not thinking straight, and you could do something that you will regret later. And then just trying to teach them that it's okay to be angry, but just how to properly deal with it. Jordan is going through a stage of when she's angry, she likes to throw things and slam things. And I'm like, well, that's not a way to deal with anger. Like, it's okay to be angry, but you break things when you do that, right? And you damage things, and that's not okay. So they're just trying to teach them the proper ways of how to deal with their anger is kind of a big one in our house right now.
Teach them the Jesus approach. Go get a whip and start whipping people. I'm just kidding. Everybody listening, don't do that. That's a joke. Okay, don't do that. Just kidding. It's kind of fun. Go ahead. Josh, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, kind of along the same lines, really encouraging the kids to use words instead of violence to, you know, dissolve situations. I definitely remember even at probably 5 and 6 years old, just getting in little fights in the neighborhood, and that carried over into, middle school and high school, even to the point where my parents had to pull me out of a inner city school because of fighting, and just really don't want my kids following in my footsteps on that note. I think if they can learn how to talk their situations out rather than hitting their brother or hitting their sister, I think that'd be my big thing for them right now.
Yeah. Man, I heard this when I read this question that came in. I was like, holy cow, there's so many things I want my kids to be better than me at, and what they can learn from me. And I think, there's so many things. Like, I try to really make sure my girls see me like loving on my wife and treating her with the utmost respect. And if they, you know, try to talk back, whatever it is, to my wife, I try to jump in real fast. You don't talk to your wife, you don't talk to your mother like that, like, whatever kind of thing. And try to teach, like both guys said, try to teach them how to deal with anger, because like I also had some anger issues when I was younger. I think also one thing I'm trying to do though is really teach, especially my oldest, about leadership. I think you both know that's a big subject matter to me personally. I really been trying to strive her into to learn what leadership is, but also how to use her role, especially with a younger sister and things like this. And because I wasn't good at that either growing up. So yeah, that's again, that could be a topic for a future episode. Just that question right there. Let me ask you this question, guys. This one actually came from my wife, my lovely, amazing, wonderful wife. If she's listening, you are awesome. I love you. Anyway, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done since being a parent? And I know the reason why my wife asked this question, so I'll go last. You guys go ahead.
I think that qualifies you to go first.
Okay, well,
yeah, let's get this out of the way, because
there's a few of them. One of which is not my proudest day. The first time I took me and my wife went to Destin, Florida. For everybody listening, it's about a 7-hour drive from Nashville, where we live. And first time I've ever taken my kid out of the state was a vacation, if you will. And we got this room. It was on the water, and it had the bedroom was nice, big, huge bedroom. And at the time, I think she was probably 18 months or so. So I mean, she wasn't 2 yet. I can't remember how old she was, but she wasn't 2. Anyway, I was the bedroom had like a soffit around the edges, that goes around the outside edge. And I was like playing with her. She was on the bed. I was playing with her, lifting her up, and I lifted her up, and she slammed her head into the soffit. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then, so of course that was a hour-long calm down. Everything's good. Sorry, apologize. I'm a horrible father, the whole thing.
no blood.
No blood.
Okay.
She had to get an ice pack, the whole thing. Hour and a half, 2 hours later, she's calmed down and she's playing again. And she actually, she must have been about a year old, because she was just walking. Anyway, she didn't know the parameters of how to be on the edge of a bed and how far the drop off was. And I wasn't really paying attention, and she goes face first off the edge of the bed. So yeah, that's definitely one of my wonderful little situations that I put my embarrassing things. There's a few other ones too. That's definitely the one that pops in my head right away. What about you guys?
Oh man.
That comes to my mind is back when we were still living out in California, before we moved out here to Tennessee. We were leaving the church we were at. They had small groups, but they did it one night a week at the church. So like you sat at a table with your small group kind of like we do on Wednesday nights, pastor will give a message and then we'll have a small group about it. So we were leaving small group that night and walking out to the parking structure, and Jordan, I was holding her hand, and Jordan was like maybe 2. And she had like slipped out of my hand and started running away from me in the parking lot. And there was a car coming that I thought wasn't paying attention. So I grab her arm to keep her from running out in front of this car, and I dislocated her elbow. So we go to the emergency room, and I tell the nurse, I was like, I swear I'm not a bad father. I was saving her from running out in front of a car. Like, I felt so bad. And I felt so embarrassed at the emergency room. And the nurse was like, it's fine. It happens more often than you think. Because, she's just trying to calm me down. But I felt.
As she's saying that, she's typing in the thing on the internet. You believe this guy did?
Oh, man, it was so bad. And then, all they did was they x-rayed it to make sure nothing was broken, and then just popped it back into place, and off we went. Like, it wasn't like a super major thing. But, man, I felt so bad when that happened.
Josh, what about you, buddy?
Oh man, mine's so much worse than you. Thank you, Ashley, for asking this question. So I'm giving Colton, my 2-year-old, we just got done. We're pretty much done potty training, which is huge, almost out of diapers. So I'm giving him a bath one night, and I got to go to the bathroom. We're in the bathroom. So number one, no big deal. I don't think anything about it. So the next day we get to school, dropping him off. We're still potty training. So 30-minute drive to school. Hey, you got to go to the bathroom. His teacher starts taking him to the bathroom, and he decides to describe to his teacher everything he saw when his dad went to the bathroom the night before. So that's probably my most embarrassing moment right there in front of his teacher. Yeah.
That's it right there. It
was so bad. I was like, you know what? I'm not never going to the bathroom in front of my kids ever.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I'm glad you said that, because I actually had a similar scenario when Annalie was not. I was peeing, doing number one as well, and we have a little wall there, and she walked in, and I was, she's a girl, so I'm like, oh, go back in there, and then from there on, she couldn't have been like 7 or 8 months old. I sit down to pee the rest of the time, and my wife's like, the girls, they're not going to come in here. I'm like, it's not going to happen. We're not sitting down. It's not going to. Nope, not putting that one out there. Not going to do it. Nope, no. Well, we just learned a lot about each other. It's great. Good stuff. Great question. Thanks, Ashley. Love you.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah.
Next question. How different are you as a father than your parents were? And here's a follow-up to this. Do you see your wives being drastically different than their parents? That might be another future episode, maybe. Anyway, but yeah, go ahead. What do you guys think? How different are you than your parents at parenting?
I think for me, I'm around. My dad was, I was a military kid, so my dad traveled a lot. I think for me, that's the biggest thing I see differently as being a dad, just being home every night and getting to be involved on a day-to-day basis with the kids. I can remember my dad being gone for several weeks at a time. So,
Jeff? Got a little mic. There you go. That's when I lost you in the microphone for a second. You're back.
Sorry.
Got you now. You're good.
The only thing I think that I differ a lot from in the way my dad was with me is, and this is nothing against him or my parents, because they both worked full-time jobs to be able to support us, is that they just didn't have time to come to my sports games growing up as a kid. And that kind of sticks out to me, just because, as a kid, you always want your parents there to watch your game. And if you have a good one, you want them to celebrate and be there with you and all that good stuff. So, if my kids got dance lessons or dance recitals or, game, softball games, volleyball games, whatever, I always try to be there for those. Just because I remember that being a thing growing up for me. So
I agree on both of those things. For me as well. I think I have I can't talk tonight either. I really tried to take the mindset of every night, whether it's 5 minutes or it's an hour, I get down to their level, which means I get on the floor with them. And I think that's big for me because I didn't really have that either. Not to down my parents either. It was just they worked so much, and I was with my grandparents' house so much that I kind of grew up on TV and video games as well. And for me to kind of just, and it may only be me catching the drift of it, but hopefully my kids are understanding that every night I try to take at least 5 minutes, and obviously more than that if I can, but to get down on the floor at their level. And most of the time I end up being like a rug and they're walking on my back, which feels wonderful. Should I throw that out there too? But just, wrestling with them and tickling them and all the things, just let them understand I'm down at their level, being present,
That's cool.
That's something I try to do for sure. A couple more here. What's the most annoying thing your kids do?
Just one?
Yeah. Holy cow. This could be an episode by itself as well, guys. We're getting a lot of future episodes here. We should write these down.
I'll start this one off. Sleep in my bed.
No, that's not happening.
We with our oldest, Raylyn, when she was a baby and we'd wake up, we'd put her back in her bed. But then we co-slept with Jordan and Evelyn.
Okay.
And there's at least one kid in my bed every night. They start in their bed, but when they wake up, they come into my bed. And I'm trying to break that habit. And that is the biggest pet peeve of mine. I'm always like, just go back to your own bed. Why do you need to come into my bed? Like, just stop kicking me in my kidneys at night. Like, go sleep in your own bed.
Josh, what about you, buddy?
Man, car rides are a pet. Like, that's a hard thing for me. If I get hit in the back of the head with a goldfish one more time, I might just drop a kid off on the side of the road. But no, I mean, I own a landscape construction company. So most mornings or, evenings picking kids up or dropping them off, I'm pulling a trailer or I've got, something behind the truck and they're just in the back seat going at it and arguing and screaming. And yeah, I think fighting in the car is my big pet peeve for the kids.
I think mine is I can't handle screaming. And I have 2 girls, so there's a lot of squealing and screaming, always, happy or sad. It's always happening. But I tell you, man, I cannot handle it. It's like chalk down a chalkboard. I can't handle it, man. Or fingernails on a chalkboard. I can't. The screaming, it automatically just puts me in a frustrated mode. I'm automatically as soon as it happens. So that would be my my big pet peeve. I have fought that battle many times because even if we get on the floor, we're wrestling or whatever, there'll be the squeal real fast. I'm like, okay, I'm done. All right, well, that's good. Right, see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to bed. That just gets me. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. Just bear with me. All right. So here's the next question. We are all girl dads here, right? So tell the listeners the most girl dad moment you've had. Oh, this is a good one here. What's the most girl dad moment?
JR's answer, because you just posted about it on Facebook a couple days ago.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. So my kids have gotten into my oldest, Annalie, has a chest that we've got that has costumes in it. You guys know me. I love dressing up myself when it comes to holidays and stuff at church and stuff, just to try to make somebody laugh. And my kids are into that too, obviously. And the other night I was sitting there in a room and I was sitting on the floor and they all, one had a Wonder Woman outfit on, the other one had the Batgirl outfit on from Halloween costumes, and they got a little fake makeup bag. So it's basically a purse that has little fake makeup stuff in it. And Rainbow looks at me, she goes, "I do you?" I'm like, "Excuse me?" "I do you?" I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" And he goes, my oldest goes, "Daddy, she wants to paint your face." I'm like, "Okay, let's do this." So before I know it, I had things in my hair. I had 15 necklaces on. I had braids on. I had stuff, and both of them were, I mean, good hour doing fake makeup on me. So that was definitely my girl dad moment. What about you guys?
I have let my girls paint my toenails.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow.
Yeah, they saw mom doing it one night and they were like, "Daddy, can we paint your toenails?" And I was like, "Man, they go in socks and inside shoes all day, so nobody ain't ever gonna see it. So sure, go ahead." And come to find out, it was like the kids' nail polish that like is essentially paint, doesn't really come off. So I had like one because Jordan and Raylyn each painted a foot. So like one foot was purple, one foot was blue for like almost 3 weeks as far as my toenails go because I couldn't get it off.
That paint, I swear, you get 2 pieces of wood. You don't need drywall screws. That paint will hold wood together. That stuff is amazing. Josh, what about you, buddy?
I think probably just watching YouTube videos on doing girls' hair. Adeline always wants these, triple braids or, the Princess Leia hair bun. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this stuff. So
I still don't. I've tried and
Yeah.
tried.
we're sitting there with a YouTube video and I've got the shop vac and, rubber bands and yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
And
That's awesome.
my wife's always real impressed. So yeah.
Have you figured out any of them though? I mean, you've got a list of 3 or 4 you can.
I've gotten pretty good at just a single braid.
Okay.
But if she gets crazy on me and wants 3 braids, yeah, we're taking it out the next morning. Not going to school like that.
I am failing at that. What about you, Jeff? Can you do braids and stuff like that?
I was starting to learn and do a single braid, I thought fairly well. Until I braided Raylyn's hair one night, and after I got done, she walked right over to Sarah, my wife, and was like, "Mommy, can you fix my hair?" I went, "All right, that's it."
Fix this for me.
So, Josh, you say you can do a braid. Is there any other kind of craziness with hairs you can do? Is that the only one?
That's about all I got right now.
Okay. Okay. Hey,
Pretty good with the blow dryer.
there you go. There you go. All right. Here's the last question. Here we go. How do you want to be remembered as a father? This is like a mic drop moment right here. How do you want to be remembered as a father? Jeff, you want to go first?
Man, talk about an episode all on its own.
Yeah, that's another one. Guys, we're going to remember these questions.
I know. Man, I think for me, I want to be remembered as just being present and just being there, and that's really the biggest thing. It's like I just want my kids to know that like I was there and that I gave it my all to give them anything and everything in reason that they wanted, that probably be my biggest thing.
Josh, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I hope my kids remember their dad, on top of a mountain with a chainsaw and, but no, I kind of on the same lines as you, Jeff. Just hope my kids remember how much their dad loved them, how much he loved their mom, and how much he loved Jesus. I think that would be the 3 biggest things for me. If I can pass that on to them.
I don't know how I can follow that up. That's they love them, their moms, and Jesus. Holy cow! I don't know. But no, you're both. I would say the same thing. Only thing I would add to it is you both know I'm all about experiences, and I love any way, shape, or form trying to figure out how to make an experience out of something. And I want long time after I'm past, both of my girls to tell their kids that let me tell you about my dad, JR. One thing we had this great thing we did, this great thing. You ain't believe it. We did this and we did this, we did this, and I don't know what those thises are, but I'm trying to figure that out because I want them to always be able to tell their friends and family and their kids how they never lacked when it came to experiences. So that would be my thing for sure. Wow. So, guys, that's some pretty amazing questions. Thanks to everybody out there who sent in the questions. We truly appreciate it. We have obviously so many more questions we couldn't get to. A lot of them came down to the sports related topics, and then spoiler alert, we're going to dive deep into that in season 2, which is coming up soon. All things sports related. But I can't wait to see where that goes. But man, this is another great episode, and I just feel like I learn so much about you every time I get on these podcasts. So thank you guys for being open and vulnerable, because I love learning about you guys and the situations as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I learn something new about you guys every time we do this. So
Yeah, I love this. It's good.
It's awesome.
Good to hang out with you guys.
yeah.
Well, folks, as you can tell, the questions go on for hours. We don't stop here, so we're going to. But guys, before we conclude, is there anything you want to say before we jump into conclusion here? One last thing, anything? Jeff, Josh?
No, just have a good week, I guess.
JR, I'm gonna need you to come look at my Christmas lights.
I can do that. I can do that. Well, guys, this concludes another episode of Daily Discussions with the 3Js, and it comes down to our purpose is simple. We just want to talk about how much we love our families. Simply put, the Daily Discussions podcast is really all about how God's blessed us to be fathers. That's what it really is all about. And we're just so happy you guys are listening to us and showing up on all of our podcast sites and YouTube channels, and just continue to give us those 5-star ratings if you think we deserve it. Even if you don't, we'd love to just get one from you. If you do have emails that you want to send in to us, questions or topics for future episodes, hit us up at daddydiscussionspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening. We'll try to do better next time. But always remember this: God loves you, and so does the 3Js. What do you guys think? Yeah,
That was great.
awesome. Okay. See you next time, guys.